Well, as Tom mentioned, the uranium sector was hard hit this week as the event spiralled out of control at the earthquake-ravaged Fukushima nuclear power plant. In the space of a week, investor perception of uranium seems to have gone from a possible replacement of coal-fired power to something of a pariah among alternative energy sources. I spoke to one of the pioneers of Australia's uranium industry and one of its leading players now, John Borshoff, who watched his Paladin Energy drop almost $1 billion in value this week. John Borshoff, I read a quote in a London newspaper from a German analyst on Friday. He said that uranium's gone from being a part of the green future to being a dangerous relic of the Cold War. Now, even if you don't go for an extreme view like that, I mean, you'd have to say that there's greater risk now associated with nuclear energy.
Well, if you look at it in a context, Alan, it's an industry that sits far ahead of any other industry in terms of safety, and an industry that has achieved that record having only started in virtually 1970. And there is this phobia about nuclear, which every time something occurs, it generates a reaction completely unlike any other sort of oil disaster or an earthquake even, and you've got to see the whole sort of reaction in that context. There's a latent sort of fear of nuclear, and anything that juggles it, all of the what I call Luddites come out and come back on their sort of ideological bench.
Well, it's hardly Luddites. I mean, there's people taking iodine in Tokyo streets. They're queuing up at Narita Airport to get out. I mean, it's pretty serious, isn't it?
I mean, there's a lot of people that believe these units will be stabilised, and the main containment is intact. The spent rod pools will be filled. There has been some release. This release is by far still within human capacity to take, and the whole issue is it's still an open-ended book, and there's no sort of conclusion that's happened. But if it turns out, like I feel, that these units will be stabilised, you've got a facility that basically remained intact, having survived something which is 16 times greater than its design capacity. Essentially, the issue that arose has been on failure of pumps which were flooded and generating machines.
Well, your market capitalisation has lost about $1 billion, or almost $1 billion. I mean, clearly investors are factoring in greater risk. There's a perception among investors that there's more risk.
Yes, there are, but the investors are not quite understanding that the nuclear industry will survive. Where most of the developed countries, the contribution to electricity is 20% and more. You've got all of these just can't do away with a fuel mix that includes nuclear.
So is your position basically that it'll all blow over?
No, I think that the position of all sensible people is that the industry will learn. It'll become even safer. And if you think Japan is going to give up its nuclear generating, well, I don't know what's going to replace that.
Where do you send the uranium from Langer Heinrich in Namibia?
As you know, just starting on our sort of global distribution of sales. We're sitting at number 9 in the world, and essentially it's in US, parts of Asia, not including Japan, and China. But eventually we will hope to have a spread across all the nuclear countries. I
think China said this week that it was suspending approvals for 25 reactors in China. What's your understanding of how the Chinese now feel? What's their attitude now?
Underlying, they have no thoughts of even slowing down. And as a responsible nuclear economy now, of course they've got to see what's happened in Japan, see from that what they can modify to improve things even more, and continue on with their programs.
So are you seeing any changes at all in your order book?
No, absolutely not. Our order book is growing. We've got we're holding inventory. We've always believed that we're in a rising market. Those shortages that have been around are not disappearing. Those reactors will keep on burning fuel, and they're making money. They're making a huge amount of electricity safely, and these will keep on burning uranium for the next 60 years.
Have you got plenty of cash on hand?
Yes, we've got $250 million. We're getting into a cash flow positive in the next quarter, and on our projections, we'll be doing very well for fiscal 12.
So are you seeing this volatility, this shakeout, as an opportunity to pick up some more uranium deposits cheaply?
Yes, I mean, our strategy is to strengthen ourselves as an independent, which we're the only one in the business, and I think the juniors will suffer quite a bit, and for the few remaining good projects that are around, I think it does make a good opportunity, particularly as we're going for increasing our production from existing projects that we have, and strengthening our project pipeline for a future which we feel is assured.
You've got 20% of Deep Yellow, which has a deposit near yours.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll buy more of that?
Well, it's always there. We're always looking at results that are coming out of those properties that are adjacent to ours, and at the moment we're quite happy keeping the status quo.
And just talking to some of the junior explorers that I've been doing, they're clearly worried because they have to raise a lot of money to develop the deposits that they've found, but the market's now turned against them. Are you seeing that as a further opportunity to take advantage of their distress, as it were?
Yeah, look, that's the irony of it all. I believe the uranium prices will increase over the next 3 months. The shortages that are there cannot be discounted. The supply-demand dynamic is still there, and again, ironically enough, it'll strengthen Paladin's position, because I believe that the projects that are online will come in later than sooner. They are anyway coming in later, and with a skittish financial market that doesn't quite understand this complicated way in which uranium is sold, it'll make it difficult for the juniors without a profile in the business to raise enough funds.
So to sum up, you basically see this whole thing as an opportunity, do you?
I do, yes. I see it as a situation where Paladin has been preparing itself to be in a situation where it's got two young, growing mines producing, and there has been no new mining operations been established over the last 20 years. Kazakhstan is the only performer, Kazatomprom, and we think we're exceptionally well placed for a demand on the existing and growing fleets, which still remains largely uncovered.
Well, thanks for joining us, John Borshoff.
No, not at all. Pleasure. Thank you, Alan.